Walt Whitman. Whitman broke the cage of syllables. He sang the body electric, sprawling beyond rulers and rhyme. His free verse was a sovereign flame, refusing pedantry, counting only the pulse of life. William Carlos Williams. Williams found poetry in everyday life. No towers of fear, no rigid equations, just the red wheelbarrow, the plums in the icebox. He rebelled by making ordinary speech the measure of art. Langston Hughes. Hughes carried jazz into poetry, syncopated rhythm against exclusion. He sang of rivers, of Harlem, of joy and struggle. His rebellion was to make Black life the sovereign witness of verse. Adrienne Rich. Rich dismantled patriarchal cages with language. She wrote of diving into the wreck, of reclaiming silence, of sovereign witness. Her rebellion was truth spoken against structures that feared her flame. Allen Ginsberg. Ginsberg howled against conformity. He tore down the chalkboard with beat rhythm, chanting for the lost, the mad, the visionary. His rebellion was a howl that refused to be counted. Virginia Woolf. Woolf bent prose into waves, breaking the cage of linear thought. She wrote of rooms of one's own, of sovereign reflection, of voices uncounted. Her rebellion was to let thought flow like tide.
Hey! 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 Pedantry is elitism, rebellion of mathematical equations in creative writing. I the cage of syllables, pedants count them like coins, stacking beats into towers of fear, but I breathe past their ruler. My rhythm spills beyond the chalkboard, past the cage of rhyme. They lock words in pairs, forcing them to kiss on command. I let them wander, free to collide, free to echo, free to refuse symmetry. I, the cage of jargon, pedants speak in terms that weigh down the tongue. Elitist syllables meant to silence. I answer with plain speech, with rock and roll vowels, with laughter that breaks the mask. I be the cage of snobbery, opera tickets sold with a sneer, but I spoke like a girl of guitars. They fired me for joy, for refusing to bow, yet my voice still sings and the snobs remain silent. Be the cage of equations. Poetry is not math, it is breath, it is flame, it is sovereign witness. Pedantry hides behind numbers, but my inflection of reflection dances uncounted. VI the overflow, I rebel against pedants' cages. My poem is not a number, it is a howl, a prayer, a flame. Pedantry stacks syllables like coins, obsessed with minor rules, showing off superiority in cadence of chalk. But cadence is not currency, it is flame, it is breath, it is sovereign overflow. E'en the formalists who mask, they cling to rhyme as armor, dogmatists of meter, orthodox keepers of the net. Yet poetry is not math, not a theorem solved, but a howl, a prayer, a living witness. IX the gatekeepers who fear. Their elitism is a mask, their pedantry a wall. They measure to exclude, to hide insecurity behind rulers. But free verse breaks the cage, Whitman's cadence spills. Williams' everyday voice sings, and the flame refuses their count. X the tide that broke the cage, waves rise without rulers, salt air dissolves equations, pedantry washed into foam, dolphins sing, whales echo, their ambient chorus refuses the measure. The ocean breathes with me, in, out, my inflection of reflection dances, uncounted, overflow, sovereign, free verse, eternal.
Poetry in motion. The writers I am speaking of tore down walls of authoritarian elitists. Walt Whitman, bard of free verse, breaking pedantry with sprawling rhythm. Allen Ginsberg, beat poet, voice of protest against conformity. Adrienne Rich, feminist poet dismantling elitist structures in language. Langston Hughes, jazz-infused rhythms, rebelling against exclusion. William Carlos Williams, everyday speech as poetry, rejecting rigid formalism. Virginia Woolf, experimental prose, breaking patriarchal literary cages. Franz Kafka, surreal rebellion against bureaucratic rigidity. These voices stand beside mine. Together we break cages, wash away pedantry, and let poetry breathe as sovereign witness.
Freedom to create, freedom to write, freedom to care, freedom to love, freedom to speak. Written by Vicki, Lawana, Trusselli.